Good evening, Kipsters. I'm sorry I'm getting back to you at 12:10 in the morning, but I thought I would just give you a brief recap of what we've been working on and where we're going. So, as you know, we took our first practice test last week. Well, actually, it was the week before last. Graded them last week, and now you have the test back. So you're probably looking at a test in your hands, and you're seeing a bunch of numbers. You don't know what they mean, and that's perfectly normal. One of the biggest bars to doing better on tests is not understanding what they mean when you get your reports back. So it's really important that you understand how to interpret your scores. The first thing you'll notice when you look at your test results is that there is a bunch of calculations on there, and they result in what's called a scaled score. So I had someone help me grade these tests. It depends on which test you have. They're all graded the same way, but some people have all their scores, all three scores for verbal, reading comprehension, and quantitative, which is math. Some people have all three scores in the front of their tests. Some people have the individual scores at the beginning of the respective sections. So like, they have one of their scaled scores at the front of the reading, one of their scaled scores at verbal, one of their scaled scores at math. But either way, you can look at all your scores. And what you'll see on your tests is that you'll see a range of scores. So the scaled scores are a result of a calculation that's done from how many you got right versus how many you got wrong, and then the scaled scores are taken after we do a computation, and there the scores are used to compare how well you did to other students. So the scales for the upper level test, which is what everyone took, the upper level test goes from 500 to 800. 500 being the lowest, 800 being the highest. And a lot of times what we're dealing with when we look at scale scores is we want to know what percentile we're in. A lot of schools now talk about percentile, and that's what a lot of private boarding schools and day schools want to know. They want to know what percentile you're in. Well, I looked for that information, and it wasn't in my resources, and I couldn't find it. So I actually emailed the SSAT organization, and they got back to me. They sent me a large, long packet of information that has all the conversions and how to interpret what score and how to take your scaled score that you got and convert it into a percentile. And rather than give you the entire 48-page packet, I'm just going to copy and paste in this email the relevant information where you can take your scaled score and figure out what percentile you're in. And the question is, what percentile do I need to get into the school that I want? Well, that's not actually a question that I can answer because I don't know every individual private school's requirements. So you're going to have to talk to your guidance counselor. I'm not quite sure what every student's going to need to get into every school they want. That's something that you got to have as a one-on-one conversation with your guidance counselor. But I can tell you that you want to go as high in percentile as you possibly can. So the highest percentile you can get is about a 99th percentile, and you want to shoot for as high as you can. The correlation between scaled scores, which is what I wrote on your paper, and percentiles is that as your scaled score goes up, you actually go up in percentile. So they're basically scaled score and percentile are the same thing, but they're just different ways to express the same number. So like the closer you get to 800 on the scaled score, that's the closer you get to the 99th percentile. So as one number goes up, both will go up. So you want to make both go up, and the way that you make your scaled score and your percentile go up is by getting more questions right on the test. So it's really one and the same, but I'm going to actually copy the information that they emailed to me. I'm going to copy and paste what they emailed me in the direct email I sent them, and I'm also going to attach onto this email a document that's going to allow you to take your finger, trace your scaled score to your percentile to know where you're at. The higher percentile you are, the better chances you have of getting into a school that you want to get into. And you'll notice that on your test I wrote a range of scores because I wrote a range of scaled scores. So that's because scales change every year. It's based on how some students did for the past couple of years, based on how they're projected they're going to do later. And so what I'm saying there is that, like, let's say for instance you got 53 questions right on the verbal, and that comes out to be like anywhere between a 600 scaled score and a 630 scaled score, meaning that you could land anywhere in that range, and we can say with a high degree of certainty that you're going to land somewhere in that range. So anyway, these are tools to use. I know there's still going to be questions that need to be answered, and I'm here for that. There's actually a tutorial on how the tests are scored, and I'm attaching that to this message. But feel free to email me as always, and we'll secure your doubts, and we'll shore up any difficulties you're having. Stay tuned also for the next conference call I'm looking for a time when we can all get together and when we'll all have the most time to talk to each other about this, because we have a lot of things to talk about now. We have the test results, we have student progress reports that we all want to talk about, and we also have an outlook perspective on where we're going. So feel free to get in touch with me about what you've seen in front of you. If you haven't gotten your test, for some reason, I know there were some people who were still looking for their test. I'm not sure why that didn't happen. I passed them out to all the respective guidance counselors. So we should have them. If we don't, let me know, and I'll make sure that we get that to you. So anyway, thanks, and have a good night, guys. Feel free to reach out as always.